Good morning. It's Diane Evans from Kamloops, British Columbia, here in Canada. I'm so excited to be able to show you how to make this card. And I thank you for watching. If you're watching now, that's awesome and hello. Or if you're watching on the replay, I truly do appreciate it. Now, one thing I'd really like you to do, if you could do that for me, is to leave a message down below. You could give a thumbs up, leave a comment. Ooh, I might be opening that up to a can of worms, but please do leave a comment. And also, if you have any questions on how to make this, ask them below, and I will get back to you after the Facebook Live. One thing, I did have this in a card class 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was on my blog, and I promised that I would show you how to make it. So anyways, we are using the Free as a Bird stamp set and also these stitch nested dies. They do come as a bundle, so you do get the 10% off. So like I say, we're going to show you how to do this. Now, one thing that did come recently is a Stampin' Up trimmer. And I'm just going to show you a couple of things about this trimmer that makes it different than the other trimmer that Stampin' Up had, because I'm going to be using this trimmer for this card itself. So one thing, they do have, of course, a score that's on it, but the one thing that I find that's so great about this is it's both in inches and it's also in centimeters, which is really important. And that ruler is not only there, but it's halfway through the cutter and also down at the bottom down here. And they also have it in 1/4 inch increments. So, when you know how you're measuring something up, usually you can measure it up, you think you've got it straight, but this way at least you can butt it right up to one of these 1/4 inch lines and you'll get it so it's straight. So anyways, what we're going to do, what I need this for is actually scoring, but I also want to show you that this does open up. And it opens up to 17 inches, which is really kind of a neat thing because, well, 12 by 12 cardstock, it's really nice to have it that way. And I've also had some big poster board that I wanted to cut, so it's really good in that aspect. The other thing that's really good is that the 6-inch mark here, you can see that, the 6-inch mark here is now as part of the ruler or the cutter itself, instead of it being up at the end where it was kind of like a hit and miss whether or not you were getting it 6 inches exactly. And the other part there, and then I'll go on just to show the rest of the card, is there's even, and I don't know if you can see it, there's tick marks here, and so that allows you to even go like at 3/8, and do you know what I mean? And so at least it shows that you're going to get measurements right to the very end of the trimmer. So to make this card, and I'm going to be kind of jumping all over the place, I've used Petal Pink. Just love this color. So what we're going to do is I need to open this arm up. We are going to score this. Now this piece of Petal Pink is at 4 1/4 by 11 inches. Now I'm going to be putting a link down below on the measurements. And also a link to my blog that does show the measurements on there. So when we're going to score this, we are actually going to score it at 3 7/8. Oh, and one other thing about this scorer. I don't know, like scorers in the past, it's been like a dulled off blade. This is actually a roller. So if you've ever used any designer series paper and you've been scoring your designer series paper, it could cut it. But these are rollers and it's not going to cut it. So it's excellent for scoring now. I'm really happy about that. Anyways, let's go back to this. This is 3 7/8. We're going to score. And then we're also going to score at 9 3/8. So 1, 2, 9 3/8. And we'll score there. And I don't think you even have to run it through as many times as I did, but anyways, I did. Now, the other part that I always do is I always say score into the mountain. So where we actually scored it is a valley fold, and this part here, it has a bit of a bump. So you always want to score into the the mountain. And the reason being is that makes it so it's even that way. And then you would normally use a bone folder here, but I don't happen to have one here on the table with me. But anyways, okay, so now how do we make these little parts here? I will show you. So you grab your scallop tag topper, and you can actually use the new one, which is the Delightful tag topper, to do this as well. Normally when you get this tag here, you would cut a 2-inch piece of cardstock and you would put it in there, but we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to take this and you're going to kind of just dip down and then pull straight back. Easier said than done. Anyways, now you're going to push that right to the end as far as it can go. And because I'm on video, that's why it's not working as easily, but it does. So you're going to butt it right up to the very end, make sure it's there, and you're also going to measure that right here. And then all you're going to do is punch down. And then you're going to take it also on the other side. So again, you're just going to kind of dip it down. And you want to do your scoring before you do your punching because it does take off. It takes off about, once we're finished doing this, it takes off about 1/8 of an inch there. So, okay, line it up there. Make sure it's fully down. And then punch it down like so. Okay. And then we've got these tags here. Now one thing with this tag, you could make your tags in the middle. You're just going to want to mark where you want to line this up. Or you could do it down at the bottom of the card as well. So I mean, I guess I could have had it going this way. You could have it where they're down at the bottom or in the middle, whichever you decide. It's really quite simple, but it's your preference. So now what we have to do is we have to get rid of these tags here. So I'm going to bring the trimmer back in. Wish I'd put that down there. Okay, so when you line this up, one thing that's different than the other trimmer here is this piece doesn't come out like it did before. So it's permanently in there and it's just a little groove in there where the cutting blade goes. This cutting blade is longer than the other one. Okay, so you're going to line that and go right into the groove there. And then when you bring this down here, you're going to lightly go and figure out it kind of moves back and forth, and that means that you've hit inside the slit there. And then you're just going to do that up there. Then bring this one down here, and again, you're not doing it into the cardstock at this point because you're going in where that groove is, and then you're just going to cut down like that. Okay. Staticky. And then we're going to do the same on the other side. So like I say, get it lined up right there. Whoops, that's not going to be close enough. Again, you can kind of feel where it's going to go. Lift it up and bring it down there. Whoops. No, that's not quite right. There. And you just feel where it is and then just cut it down. There we go there. All right, so there we have it where it's just like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get the other pieces to make the rest of the card. Now this part here measures 5.5 inches. So once you've done all this cutting, it's 5.5 inches and it will fit into a regular card size that's in North America. If you're in the South Pacific or you're in over in Europe, they're in centimeters and it's a bit larger of a card that they make over there. Okay. So the other pieces that you're going to need for this card is I've used Pool Party with this, and I've cut this piece. This Pool Party is cut 4 inches by 5 1/4. This piece is 2 3/4 by 4, and then the small piece here is 5/8 of an inch by 4 inch. So let's layer that onto there. So we'll just grab our snail. And layer it on the inside. Kind of moving around this camera here, so there we go. Now, always make sure you burnish that part down. By doing that, you know that your card's going to stick together. And let's layer this onto the front. Like and then this little piece here on the front. On my original card, I didn't have this piece on there, but I think it really finishes it. Otherwise, it was, and I actually fixed it. But if you see the original card that I posted the picture, it actually didn't have anything on this side, and this just sort of finishes it off. So the people that came to the class, unfortunately, didn't get this piece to it, but it's all good. Okay. And again, burnish it. Then I use the Bird Ballad DSP as well. And so this piece is cut 2.5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. And then also I have a little piece here that is 3/8 of an inch by 3 3/4 inch. Now that's the beauty also of this trimmer again. Because of the way that it goes here, you can actually cut 1/8 of an inch strip down here. So it's really kind of it's great, this trimmer, in that aspect. So let's attach this part as well. I think I got some glue on there. And then up here. And it's just going to go in there. And because this piece is a little bit less than what the size of the snail is, I'm just using a silicone mat so that I can just glue that part on there. Hate it when you get all that sticky and stuff all over the place. So there we go there. Okay, so we're getting there. We're almost done. I also cut a piece of the petal pink, and I used those stitch nested dies that come in the bundle. And I cut this piece 2 1/4 by 4 so that it would fit in with the die. And I decided on this one I was going to just lay it down flat on the front of the card. And I'll pop up the bird image itself on there. So we'll put that there. Okay, now the Whisper White that we use is, it is going to be 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and that's going to go on the inside. And then this piece that was cut out by the stitch nested dies is 2 by 3 5/8. So normally I would always use the Stamparatus to do the stamping, but that was 3 weeks ago that we had done the class and I had removed them. So basically I'm just going to stamp this way. I'm using Memento ink because I'm going to be using my blends to color this. So just stamp this up. You probably noticed that I don't put the cling on the back of mine. I usually end up leaving my stamps on my Stamparatus for a while because if there's other cards that I want to do in the same design. So I find what happens is it really sticks on there onto my block or onto my Stamparatus. So I prefer not to. I mark my blocks with just a dot to say that it's face up. So I'm just going to stamp this on here. If I can see through the camera to get it in the middle. That. And hopefully I don't have to stamp this again. We got a little bit of a smudge there, but that's okay. We can always turn it over to the other side, right? And then I'm going to take in the bird part. And we're going to take 2 of the flowers off of here. So we're taking this bird and these 2 flowers off of the stamp set. So let's just stamp that up. So down here. Now I'm going to put the sentiment on. I always tend to make a lot of birthday cards. So I'm using this sentiment here. It's a happy birthday sentiment. And this sentiment comes from, it's called Beautiful Bouquet. I think I use these sentiments the most. They've got so many different versatile ones. Happy anniversary, and you know they're just really, really great sentiments. So I'm just gonna stamp that in there. There. And then I'm going to take my flower. Put it there. And of course it's off the paper a bit, and then this one as well. Okay, so there's the stamping done on that. And then I would color those with my blends. So the blends that were I used on this card were Light and Dark Pool Party, and I used Bermuda Bay as well. I think this has got to be, this next one is pink, Petal Pink, the light and the dark. These are my favorite colors. I've gone through I don't know how many blends of these. And Eclipse Coral. Light and dark of the crumb cake, and the light and dark of the Old Olive. I also used a color lifter on here, and I'll show you where I used that. So for this video, I'm not going to color them. I'm just going to bring these over. I've already colored them. That way you won't see that mess anyways. And what I do here around the bird and around different things is I take my light Pool Party and I take the brush end and I just color around here, and that pops this up in such a way that instead of having to fussy cut it out, and then we just put that, but it just pops it up. Now if it's too dark, I have a Pool Party that's almost run out, but if it's too dark, what you can do is then take your color lifter. You can kind of see on here it's a little dark there, so all I would do is I would just take my color lifter and just take a bit of that Pool Party off of there. Okay. All right, so then we're just going to put these together here. Okay, and then this is just going to go on here. Remember to burnish it. Now here you could write over here if you want, so it doesn't ruin the effect of the card, or you could write under here. That's entirely up to you. So I'm going to use some dimensionals, and I'm just going to pop this up. And maybe a half a dimensional over there. Another half a dimensional on this side as well. These dimensionals never come off if you have a hard time getting them off. The only thing that you have to do is just sit there and press down like that, and then they'll kind of pop up that part there. All right, so this is just going to be popped up here. And then I used this scallop lace trim that's from the annual catalog, and I used about 12 inches of it. So then there is a right and a wrong side on it. So I've got dimensional on there. So I'm just going to lace this through here. You could tie this in a knot, but I find by tying them in a knot, what happens is the receiver won't untie it. You want them to see what you're saying, right? So we're just going to tie that like that. Hopefully I've got this about the same length. And then we'll just use the bunny ears. And I'm going to see, when I was practicing this tape, and because it was on tape, it wasn't working. So I'm just using the bunny ears to tie the bow. Yeah, see, it's going to go the way that I thought it was going to go. Okay, so we'll just do it this way and tie it and then bring it down. And then we would trim this off as well. Now you could use any kind of ribbon. The white tulle ribbon is nice. You want to use a ribbon that's fairly soft and that sort of stuff. So there you have it. There's the card. Now, if you have any questions, please write them down below. I will go in after the video. I'm also going to go in and I'll put a link to my blog for the measurements, but I think I'll also put the measurements down below. If you have any questions, like I say, mark that down there. Leave a comment. Share this with somebody. I'd really appreciate that. But yeah, that's the Bird Ballad bundle that's like this. Bye for now.